and
Brian.
a voice of this generation.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 68 of the Ron and Brian podcast. I am Ron, as always, joined by the man who was one of the uncredited members of the Bee Gees, Brian. Brian, how are you doing this week, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful. This has been a good week. This has been a time for, I'd like to say, unity within not just my country, not just my home, but also in my heart.
I like it. What kind of unity are you referring to?
I don't know. I actually am experiencing a level of zero unity. I think this country is fracturing across. I feel my own mind cracking from a lack of sleep. And basically, yes, I do not feel unity, except for you.
All right. That's
fair enough. For you.
Yes. Well, then let's get into it. Let's get this show rolling.
Drink of the week.
Na zdrowie!
Salud.
Drink of the week. Cruncher.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
All right. Really didn't have a theme for drink of the week this week. So, Brian, did you get anything?
I could not disagree with you more.
Really? Why would you say that?
A theme.
Why is that?
Because this is something that we're celebrating hot girl summer in this episode.
Ooh. And how are we doing that?
We're drinking hard seltzers.
Oh, you thought I was serious when I said seltzer.
You better be serious.
I hope you didn't do anything drastic like go out and buy more than one.
I was unable to purchase one. I had to buy a pack of them.
Ooh.
Please tell me that you because this is the deal we have. It's about commitment, Ron. It's about making a commitment to each other, not just to ourselves. And you said earlier today, we are drinking hard seltzers.
And I'm just fucking with you, because ain't no laws when you're drinking claws. I went with White Claw hard seltzer.
You went White Claw. See, that's why I wasn't sure what to purchase. I did have a couple options, and I decided that White Claw was the gold standard.
I think you're up there, but you also you purchased Truly, I believe, which is also a very popular brand.
Is it? See, I don't know hard seltzers. Recently, the San Francisco Chronicle rated all of the hard seltzers, and White Claw did come out first.
So you know who actually is the who makes Truly hard seltzer?
I will be truly surprised when you tell me.
That is part of the Boston Beer Company, our friends that give us Sam Adams.
Really?
Yeah, I shit you not.
Well, it's even it's a 12-ounce can. First off, like we're not doing 16-ounce cans. So you got a 12 over there.
This is 12, I believe, as well.
So
what flavor do you have?
Well, if we're going, this is where I wanted to enforce the hot girl summer. Because if we're doing hot girl summer, then the only appropriate thing is for me to drink the rosé flavored hard seltzer.
Rosé all day. I went natural lime.
Oh, that's very cosmopolitan of you, I would say.
I thought so. So let's.
I'm going to let you go for your first, and I will talk about hard seltzers and what I discovered this past week. Now, as a avid follower of social media, I have been seeing lots and lots of posts about the hard seltzers this summer. The kids are loving it. The kids are drinking this shit up. And I thought to myself, what is better than seltzer water mixed with some type of liquor that would, low in calories, et cetera, et cetera. Earlier today, or was it yesterday, realized that the hard seltzer, it's not seltzer water we're drinking. It's a premium malt beverage with natural flavors and colors. So this is right off the bat. It's not seltzer. We're basically drinking Zimas all over again.
We're drinking a lie, basically.
Well, aren't we all living lives?
So this is, it's 100 calories, 2 grams of carbs, and 5% alcohol, and 0% flavor from what I'm tasting.
Oh, this is disgusting.
Well, I mean, at least it's not disgusting. Like, it really, when it says hint of lime, it's very accurate because I am barely getting any lime out of this. But it does taste like seltzer water.
It does taste like, and I despise seltzer.
But I'm not getting any lime. I'm not getting any taste of alcohol. So I can see why you would get pretty messed up after a case or two of these. I'm
definitely getting a sense of some type of citrus flavor.
Well, the rosé, I would guess that's probably sweeter than what I have here.
Right. Well, that's because you're sweet on me.
No. But the only reason we're drinking these
I'm sweet in you.
we're disappointingly enough, we don't have the Four Loko seltzer, which we may throw up on Drink of the Week later during Hot Girl Summer. Although I think that might be Crystal Meth Girl Summer when we go with the Four Loko.
Listen, I'm willing, I've never had a Four Loko. Have you?
I have not.
Okay, so when the Four Loko hard seltzer comes out, it's supposedly going to have 3 times the amount of alcohol that the hard seltzers on the market currently have. In true form, when Four Loko comes out with the product, they're going to pack the alcohol in. So I think it's time for us to embrace Four Loko. So when they come out, I think it's, I'm willing to make the commitment to you right now on episode 68. Not so nice. I'm going to say that when Four Loko comes out with their hard seltzers, you and I just automatically, that is our drink of the week.
All right, done and done. You know what the word is I would use for Four Loko? Unapologetic. They're just like, you know what? We're here to get you fucked up, and that's all there is to it. And I respect that.
I respect it as well.
So, all right. Well, that is Drink of the Week. Of course, even though we will be doing the Four Loko seltzer in the coming weeks, if you have any suggestions out there for Drink of the Week, hit us up on our Facebook, on our Twitter, Instagram, or at the website ronandbrianpodcast.com. In the meantime, let's roll on over and see what we have in racism this week.
This
Week
in
racism.
All right. Well, a much more hotly contested vote this past week than we were anticipating, back and forth between Twitter and Facebook. But at the end of the day, Parker Muchton came through like the champion racist he is, knocking off the team of Castleman and Landers 60% to 40% for his second win. Brian, again, you called Parker winning, but was it surprising the number of votes that Castleman and Landers got this past week?
This was surprisingly close. When you look at the content that both of our candidates this week put up, I think that it was just surprising. I thought that I thought he had this locked up. It was not even close in my mind. I mean, you had somebody who was just throwing out there an incredible, violent imagery. He was letting off firearms at Air Force Ones and Jordans. Dropping the N-word multiple times. Mix that with his competitors, Castleman and Landers, literally talking about a couple high school age girls dropping the N-word a few times while laughing. Clearly, there was a lack of anger and rage in that. And one of the things that I think is a consistent thing that people really are geared towards. It's the anger. If you're bringing the anger to it, I think that is where you're going to see the votes come in, which is why I was so shocked this week to see the Castleman and Landers coming in with 40% of the vote.
And possibly enough to maybe impress the committee to get them in maybe a 3 or 4 seed in the year-ending Racism Madness tournament. We'll have to wait and see. Here's another impressive statistic. In 2 weeks, Parker Mushton has racked up the 4th highest vote total of the year of any of our candidates.
Really?
He is. He might be unstoppable, but we shall see. Every now and then we have a week where we don't have a lot of racism that comes to light in this country. We have some weeks where we say, maybe we won't do a vote this week because nothing really happened over the past week. Unfortunately, this not one of those weeks. A ton of cases we looked at this week. Not surprising, a ton of them in the South. Starting off in Collierville, Tennessee. LaShundra Allen says that she was denied a job cleaning the house of a Catholic priest because of the color of her skin. She went to the Church of the Incarnation in Collierville for training in early May, where a church staffer told her she could not clean the rectory because the pastor's German Shepherd didn't like black people. The staffer reportedly stated that, quote, "the dog is kinda racist." The church is stating that the dog becomes aggressive around all strangers and called their employees' choice of words, quote, "highly unfortunate and imprecise." The Diocese of Memphis completed an investigation and shockingly concluded there was no wrongdoing. Allen and her attorney are now considering their next steps. Racist dogs, Brian.
Can I interrupt now?
Of course.
I owned a racist dog at one point.
Really? Tell me about your racist dog.
When I was in Florida, we had it was 50% Chow, 50% Corgi.
Ooh, that is
that's
a hot mess of a dog right there.
We're talking about, it had a rich red coat, just a big head, like a big, meaty, just square head that you could squeeze. Really, just the rib cage was firm. I mean, that you could just like pick up a dog by, and the shortest legs. Literally, these legs were about 4 inches, in terms of total height. So this was just a big dog with short legs. We adopted it from the shelter, and when I saw, you go to a shelter in Florida in 2000 and. No, this was 1998. You go to a shelter in southern Florida, 1998, it's 90% pit bulls. And these animals are not going to be adopted, and they're all going to be put down to sleep. And it's just so utterly depressing. But it was decided we are going to adopt. We're not going to buy dogs. And I was like, I'm completely in agreement with that. As we're walking through, we see this freak of nature hiding in the back of the shelter run. And I just said to myself, that thing is embarrassing looking, ergo, I must own this dog. This dog must be living in my house. So we got the dog. And the thing that was really interesting about this dog was it was not what I would consider a particularly social dog.
Okay.
This was not the kind of dog that would sit at the end of the bed waiting for you to wake up. This was not the kind of dog that was going to sit there and eagerly walk around behind you as you're walking throughout the house. This was a dog that did her thing, whether she was almost like a cat. Like if she was looking out the window and you walked home, she did not budge. She picked her head, looked at you, whatnot. One of the things that she loved doing was sitting on our balcony, because we're on the second floor of an apartment house. And when a white tenant in our building would walk by, the dog would keep its head on the railing, calmly looking out, enjoying the fresh air. If an African American person walked by, this dog would bark ferociously until that person was out of sight. It was painfully embarrassing.
So you are on the side of the church in this argument.
No, what I'm saying is that I do believe that this dog has in some way been exposed to not liking black people.
All right.
And it could be the preacher has trained it that way.
The preacher claims that the dog had a unfortunate incident with an African American, although he didn't go into much more detail.
That's not going to cause that. But do you remember the old after school special White Dog?
I don't believe that I do. No.
You don't remember it?
No.
It was what was the name of it? It was I swear to. Am I not remembering it right? but it was about a dog that was somehow trained to hate. It was like one of those after-school specials.
Well, we'll come back to the after school special a little bit later, perhaps. Let's not go off on too far of a tangent. Although I do love your tangents.
Do you think that was just? Wait a second. Do you think this truly malt beverage has just caused me to get so messed up mentally that I'm disrespecting Racist of the Week?
I'm just saying you're going down a rabbit hole, and I know what happens when you do that. Pretty
what
soon
I'm saying is that
we'll be 50 pages deep in Wikipedia momentarily with you.
Hold on a second. It's called White Dog. It was a 1982 American drama. It depicts the struggle of a dog trainer named Keys, played by Paul Winfield, who is black, trying to retrain a stray dog found by a local actress, Christy McNichol, that is a quote-unquote white dog, a dog trained to make vicious attacks upon and to kill any African American.
All right.
1982.
Well,
based on 1970s novel by Roman Garies of the same name.
My goodness. So they got a whole book out of that, huh?
Yeah.
So anyway, speaking of Florida, we're going to go to South Beach, Florida now. We have a woman who went into a 7-Eleven with a coupon for a free hot dog, but also filled up 2 99-cent cups with condiments. When a store employee informed her that she would need to pay for the cups, she unleashed a profanity-filled racist tirade against him. She told the clerk, who is from Cuba, quote, "This is fucking bullshit. Go back to your country. You fucking Latinos. You suck." Ew. She also told him that he wasn't educated enough and that his mother was a prostitute. She really hit all of the racist tropes there. She has not yet been identified, but police are searching for her for questioning. Going out to Royal Oak, Michigan, police stopped 20-year-old Devin Myers because he was, quote, looking suspiciously at a white woman. The woman who has not been named called the police because she didn't like the way Myers was looking at her, which resulted in 4 Royal Oak officers showing up to stop and question him. The police allowed Myers to leave after bystanders started to videotape the incident and call them on their bullshit. The Royal Oak police have launched an internal investigation into how the situation was handled. Going further south, Houston, Texas, a federal civil rights lawsuit has been filed against school administrators that forced a black student to fill in a design in his hair with permanent marker. A 13-year-old Barry Miller Jr. High student arrived at school with a letter M shaved into his short fade haircut, which is a violation of the school dress code. 3 administrators gave the student the option to either call his mother, receive a disciplinary action, or color in the design with a permanent marker, which is what ended up happening. That's
terrible.
The family filed the lawsuit after not being able to resolve the situation directly with the school district. On a side note, the school district was also specifically cited in a 2015 report by the U.S. Department of Justice Office for Civil Rights, saying that black and white students in that district received the same number of in-school suspensions, despite white students accounting for 38.6% of the student population compared to 15.9% for black students. So potentially a little bit of an issue there with race in that school district. Let's see, what else did we have? Lee County, Mississippi. Sheriff Jim Johnson is under fire for sending a text about a local legislator who is against the building of a new jail, and the text said, quote, "He's worse than a black person." The sheriff initially defended himself, saying he's not racist, but then a local newspaper filled out a Freedom of Information Act, got additional texts of his, and found that he regularly sends racially charged texts from his work phone. Excuse me.
Can't do that.
He has since issued an apology to the Tupelo NAACP for the texts. However, the Lee County Board of Supervisors is divided over whether he should be reprimanded or not, of course.
So they're not sure if he should be?
They're up in the air. You know, he admits he shouldn't have brought race into it. Yeah, but common mistake, especially for someone in law enforcement.
Understood.
But our contestant came in at the 11th hour today. We don't have a name for him. It's just the Texas post office racist. This is Dallas, Texas, to be exact. A North Dallas man was captured on video yelling racial slurs at a black postal worker, which we have audio of right here.
Doesn't matter. They're playing a fool. I'm legitimately outraged.
Well, you can be that way, but you don't.
I don't care.
Clearly, dude.
I don't care. Shut it.
Wow.
Give me the form, you fool. Give me the form, you asshole. You fucking jigaboo. Give me the fucking form.
Oh.
Can you send the police right?
Yeah, right now.
Give me the form, you fucking nigger.
Oh, no, that's a
Guys, hang up like nigger.
So a roller coaster of a video there. I mean, the guy clearly is a good old boy. So wearing the jeans with the clip-on suspenders, sidearm holstered, of course, and just going full racist by the end of it. The man left the post office before police could arrive, but people were able to get his license plate number before he drove off. The police and the U.S. Postal Inspector are investigating, but it is uncertain at this time if he will face any criminal or federal charges. But what he will face in the coming week is the votes of our listeners as he goes up against Parker Mushkin. Parker Mushkin going for win number 3. The Texas post office racist looking to stop his momentum and get himself into the mix for the Racist of the Year tournament. Brian, you are the top prognosticator in racism in the United States, possibly the world. Tell me your thoughts.
All right, Ron. This is the granddaddy of them all, if you ask me. This is we are looking at 2 quality first round bye candidates in the Year in Racism tournament. That who's it? Blatika? What's the name of the Russian beer?
Baltica sponsored us
Baltica.
last year, but it's still open. The sponsorship's still open this year.
We are negotiating with Baltica. Frankly, based on the current exchange rate, I am not pleased with the idea of accepting payment in the form of rubles, but we'll see where we go from there. I got to say this. I mean, I obviously, I think I may have overplayed my my allegiance to Parker Mushkin a little while ago in terms of just how much of a fan I am of his videos, of the content he's putting out there. However, if there's going to be somebody that's going to take Parker Mushkin down, I'm going to go with Texas Postal Office, because this guy, first off, older white man. The populace loves older. If there's anything that people like more than older white men, it's older white women. The Nancys and the Susans go very far in This Week in Racism polls. But I'm going to say that if you really boil it down, the fact that what this video has going for it, which the other videos don't, is genuine disgust audibly by witnesses.
Yes.
You hear the people online, the people videotaping it, the people that are seeing this, waiting for their turn so that they can see just how expensive a first class box of belongings is going to be that they're trying to send to their grandma in Alabama. And this guy's showing up, dropping the N word. I mean, he's bringing out the J word. You haven't even heard the J word since the 70s.
He went old school with his racial slurs. There's no question.
What I love is he escalates beautifully. He starts off with calling you fool. Then he escalates it. Then he goes to you J word, and you hear the slight oh no. Then he drops the N word, hard R. Doesn't say A. He goes hard R. You hear the oh no. Then he says it again to further cement him. I can't. If you put a gun to my head, I'm going to go with the Texas Post Office employee. Not employee. This is the customer. I'm going to go with Texas Post Office customer, but he is a unicorn of racism. Frankly, I did not think Parker Mushin was ever going to be able to be taken down. This guy might have the skills to do it.
All right. Well, we will definitely find out. Go to the Facebook page or go to the Twitter page and cast your vote for This Week in Racism. In the meantime, Brian, let's find out what our beefs are.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bugging you this week?
Well, it's an offshoot of what was bugging me last week, the week before, and the week before that. It's good. We're gonna talk this week. It all revolves around guns.
Okay.
This week, my beef is Donald John Trump.
Which specific? You need to be more specific.
A week ago,
it's been quite a week.
A week ago, we were going to have the best background checks that there were ever going to be. That this was, we weren't going to, attack the, take away guns. We weren't going to do any kind of restrictions on gun ownership. What we were going to do is we were going to pass some type of law that was going to have bipartisan support, that was really going to tighten up background checks. And they were going to be the best background checks that are out there. And yesterday, Donald Trump took a call from the head of the NRA, Wayne LaPierre, who basically spent a half an hour telling Mr. Trump that his supporters, the card-carrying members of the NRA, do not support anything that infringes on their ability to go out there and buy automatic weapons. And Donald Trump went strictly from, we're going to have great background checks, we're going to pass a new law. Now, this is a mental health issue. We've got a very good system already in place to prevent people that shouldn't have guns from getting guns. And it's a slippery slope, so we're going to roll back from doing anything. So basically, all the outrage of the mass shootings in El Paso and Dayton are completely forgotten. It's basically, as Jay-Z once said, on to the next one. So that's left me feeling pissed.
All right, and rightfully so. I feel maybe I should have gone first, because now my beef does not seem as significant after hearing yours.
You want to know something, Ron? And and I'm not trying to set it up for you, but I've had a very good week.
You have. There's no question.
I feel like I've had a good week. So it was hard for me to think that there was something that was impacting me personally that was making me unhappy.
Well, my beef is with karaoke bars that don't have Charlie Daniels' band, The Devil Went Down to Georgia, as part of their collection. Now we'll talk about karaoke in a minute, but long story short,
that's a staple.
You would think it's a staple. We're at a karaoke bar, Midtown East.
Who's we?
You, me, my wife. This past weekend.
What a great night! That will go down as a great night.
And so, as you, Brian, know, not the listeners may not know, one of my classic karaoke go-tos is "The Devil Went Down to Georgia." And
now, can we play some of that song right now?
If I was better prepared, we could, but I think everyone knows the song. But they had, what they did have by Charlie Daniels' band? This Ain't a Rag, It's a Flag, which was...
I did not know that Charlie Daniels had a song other than Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Not many people do that, but that song was the song he wrote after September 11th.
Oh.
So I can almost see why there's a little bit of relevance, but how do you have that and you don't have Devil Went Down to Georgia?
Can I say something in defense of the karaoke people?
You may.
There aren't a lot of people that can pull that song off. And when you're trying to run an establishment for karaoke, I think you want to put up songs that people will excel in, feel good about themselves, and want to do it again.
Which I understand, but would someone be more likely to excel in Devil Went Down to Georgia or This Ain't a Rag, It's a Flag?
I don't know the song. This ain't a rag, it's a flag. It would be great if you could play a bit of that
And I
song.
would
Do
say
you have that lined up?
I guarantee you 99% of the country doesn't know that song.
Yeah, I don't. That was not a. I mean, there were a lot of. There was a lot of music after 9/11 that really brought this country together. Neil Young did "Let's Roll." Then he wrote "Keep on Rockin' in the Free World," which was really, to me, one of the best 9/11 anthems.
What was it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was basically they hate us because they hate our freedom. So let's just keep on rocking. And yeah, Charlie Daniels never quite made. He never quite made that level of notoriety off that song.
No, and I mean, well,
So I got to apologize.
it was. I mean, he got he got some people pissed off about it because it's kind of a violent song towards the terrorists. I think we got. Let's see if I can get a little of this going here.
Oh yeah.
This ain't no rag, it's a flag, and we don't wear it on our heads. It's a symbol of the land where the good guys live. Are you listening to what I said?
That's
You were
terrible.
coward and a fool, and you broke all the rules, and you wounded our American pride. And now we're coming with a gun, and you know you're gonna run, but you can't find no place to hide. We're gonna hunt you down.
So I guess my point more being is if there was room in the collection for that, I think you could have easily left that out.
You know
and
what?
had
I'm going to
Devil
give
Went
you
Down
this
Georgia.
one. You are absolutely correct.
Thank you.
That song is terrible, and I cannot imagine anyone's actually going to pick that song. But in their defense, I'm going to reiterate, The Devil Went Down to Georgia is a bitch of a song to do karaoke, and it's one of my favorite memories of you.
It was it's a classic. It's one I've done. Maybe we'll do a karaoke episode of the Ron and Brian podcast.
Wait a second. We bring our recorder. We get a room for an hour. We talk. We'll do a song. We'll come back and talk about our efforts on that song.
There you go. Let's talk.
I love it.
Let's talk about the New York
we-
City trip.
Can we drink something other than? Do I need to finish this?
I'm having a hard time finishing this. So if you
'Cause
are, if you want
if I know, if I knew any high school or college aged young women who would want to swing by and pick up a 5-pack of truly hard seltzer rosé, come on over. I will not Jeffrey Epstein you.
Thankfully, I did bring a beer also to follow up. So we're also drinking.
I got nothing.
This is from Prairie Artisan Ales No Way Frosé, sour ale with lime zest, strawberry, and pineapple puree, and juniper.
Now, my question to you, and I'm assuming you. Speaking of which, while hunting in my neighborhood for this hard seltzer, I did walk by a place that had an excellent selection, at least by my standards here in Queens, New York, an excellent of craft beer.
All right.
But I'm still going to use my Tavour app and order using the code
265020 referral code.
TAVOUR. Let's put some money in Ron's pocket, not in mine, even though I could just as easily be sending our listeners to our Patreon, where for as low as $5. What?
Not just in my pocket. The fine folks at Tavour will give you $10 off your first order as well when you use
How does
that
that
referral
work,
code.
Ron?
You get $10 off. I get $10 off. It's just that's how good the people at Tavour are.
TAVOUR. Ron, what's that code again?
265020 or 220, one or the other.
For fuck's sake, Ron, you got. I don't ask that much of you.
Anyway, so we had a fun time Friday night.
Killer time.
My wife and
It was
I
a
hopped
killer
on the
time.
train after work, went up to New York City, met Brian down what's that, Wall Street area?
Yeah, it was. We started off in the financial district,
Yes.
and then headed over to the hallowed grounds of the World Trade Center.
Yes, to one
Place where
observation deck.
I will always remember my years working in those towers. Technically, I only worked in one, but what took place on 9/11, I mean, it changed who I was. It changed who who you were, Ron, and it changed who Charlie Daniels was, because he went from the guy known as Devil Went Down to Georgia, and he suddenly became the I don't wear the flag on my head.
Right. It's not a rag, it's a flag.
It's a flag. But we went down to World Trade Center because one of the things that they have done is they have, as part of building that 100-story tower, is they have put an observatory deck, 360 degrees, unobstructed view. You can see New Jersey. You can see Staten Island. On clear days, you can see Pennsylvania. You can see north, all of Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn. It was a pretty impressive view.
You know, you ride up in the elevator, 33 miles an hour. They show a scene on the walls of the elevator, New York being built up from the ground up back in the 1800s to where we are currently. And then you get off the elevator, and they have all these screens that you stand in front of that they show like a minute and a half video of just life in New York City. And to be perfectly honest, I mean, I was like, all right, we got dinner reservations. Let's get this moving. But
yeah, I was like, what the?
All of a sudden, it crescendos, and at the very end, all of the screens just shoot straight up into the ceiling, and you've got the entire view of Manhattan right in front of you. Very impressive.
From 100 stories up in the air. I mean, literally bird's eye view of of New York City. What an incredible view, and what a impressive way to reveal the view.
Yes, and then we got to walk around a bit. We had these iPads where you could pull up information on all the buildings around the city, and a great space to have dinner at.
Yeah, so we ate 100 stories in the air. Food was good, not great, but you're paying for the view.
Yes, although my lamb was very good. It was one of the better pieces of lamb that I've had.
When you were eating it, did they stop screaming?
Not
Clarice?
at all. They yelled even louder, but that just added to the.
Did you eat it with some
enjoyment.
fava beans
and a nice Chianti?
and a nice Chianti? Clarice. No, it was fine. And then so we get out of there,
and then somebody had the great idea. Oh, I forgot. We went for dessert first.
Yes, because the your lady, the woman that leads me tells me to make sure I'm hitting the pavement. She said, "Listen, I want dessert. I'm in the mood for something sweet. Where can we go and get a good sweet?" There's only one place to go in Manhattan, and that is Little Italy, where we hit the traditional landmark Ferraras.
Oh, so good.
Really, really well lit for 9 o'clock at night. I mean, this thing was well lit.
Bright. Very bright.
So we got some assorted cookies. You got a, what was that, a lobster tail?
I got the lobster tail pastry. So good.
Oh, so good.
Filled with Bavarian cream.
What did I get? I got the...
you got the Napoleon.
I got the Napoleon. And then what I thought was awesome was you did the assorted cookies for the table.
For the table.
I mean, that is how I know you're a classy man, is the fact that I'm going to order something for me, order something for you, but you know what? We're going to share something, because it makes the meal communal.
Exactly. Everyone's getting their hands in there. Everyone's sharing. Oh, and we all had a nice cappuccino. I mean, just
so good, so
fantastic.
Good.
So if you're in New York City, go to Little Italy, go to Ferraras. Fantastic day or night.
Now, after you've seen New York City from 100 stories in the air, after you've had some delicious Italian pastries and coffee, what's left to do in New York City?
Karaoke.
Drunken karaoke
yes,
at this point.
Very drunken karaoke.
Jump in a cab, head up to Koreatown, which is literally a 2-block stretch of 32nd Street in Midtown. We found ourselves a place to go to, and what was nice about this one, as opposed to the other karaokes that I've been exposed to, was here you have a private room, which to me is a game changer in terms of experience. I have always had a problem of doing karaoke in front of a complete room of strangers who I feel are automatically going to see just how bad I am at karaoke and immediately mock me. With that said, the idea of a private room, now it's just the three of us with our drinks, our microphones, our screen. Literally had such a good time that when our hour was up, we said, we're not leaving. We want another hour. We were in that room for over 2 hours. What was the high point for you? What were the songs that you did that you really felt proud of?
I mean, again, one of my staples, Bare Naked Lady, 1 week. I felt that
amazing.
That went well. What was the Sinatra tune I did?
It
Summer
wasn't
Wind.
Summer Breeze.
I did Summer Wind.
It was Summer Wind. That was it.
You and Susan crushed it on Copacabana. Classic performance right there. And I didn't know you were such a big Bee Gees fan.
I love the Bee Gees. I do my Barry Gibb impersonation throughout the entire song, every song. And for me, my high point, Neil Diamond's America.
Ooh, that got hearts pumping.
I felt that right after being on top of the World Trade Center, I felt doing America. Surprisingly, not a very long song. It was about 2.5 minutes. But I was standing up. It was what I would consider a really, really, really fun night.
And how did we finish? Well, It Takes Two. Rob Bass.
It's all. No, I thought you were going to say it's all fun and games till somebody loses an eye.
It's very possible that someone in the karaoke room could have thrown a cheese ball that possibly could have hit Brian right in his left pupil, almost blinding him.
Well, it was about 9 days after I had eye surgery
Yes.
on that eyeball, so it was a little tender, and you would think a cheese ball would have no effect on an eye. No, quite the opposite. I was basically incapacitated in pain.
I mean, I have to say this, and I've said this to her face, so I'm not talking out of school here. My wife can be an obnoxious drunk. I mean, there's just really she gets to fun drunk status, and then you get a few more drinks in her. And we had been drinking. I mean, we'd had a couple drinks on the train coming up, and then drinking before. I had a drink before dinner, drinks with dinner. Only took the breather for dessert, and then drank the entire 2 hours we were at the karaoke bar. So she went from fun drunk to obnoxious drunk, and that's when people tend to get hurt. She plays around and she doesn't realize that. I mean, she actually at one point was grinding the microphone into my chin, and she was a little surprised that I was not happy with that sensation.
I counted. I had 10 drinks that night.
I'm not quite sure how many.
And you know what the worst thing was? And maybe it was. I'm going to rationalize it by saying that they were spaced out over the course of about 6-7 hours. But I don't think I ever really felt drunk.
No, I don't think I did either, but I certainly felt like death the next day.
Oh, I basically spent Saturday doing absolutely nothing. Sunday, I felt so lethargic that I genuinely, at one point, just got so fed up that I threw some shorts and my sneakers on, and I did a half an hour at the elliptical, the gym across the street. I just needed something to make me feel like I wasn't a complete piece of garbage.
Well, and at one point, my wife and I had contemplated getting tickets for a matinee on Broadway for Saturday, and we were like, let's hold off and see, how the day goes, which was a good thing because, I mean, we woke up on Saturday, we grabbed a little breakfast, and we were just like, why don't we just get on a train and go home because we're done for. And it literally takes 2 days to recover from a night like that.
Yeah.
But
we're not getting younger.
Still a good time.
Oh, it was an incredible time. Like, you reached out to me to say, hey, do you feel like getting breakfast? And I just said, and I said it to you, and I remember exactly what I said. I am hours away from being able to get moving.
I was surprised we were moving. I was certainly surprised she
impressed.
was moving because she started having this coughing fit in the middle of the night, and it was getting to the point where I'm like, man, I hope it stops because I don't want to have to get up and have to take her to the hospital. I'd really just rather go back to sleep. And then eventually it died down.
I thought you were going to put a pillow over her head and just smother her.
I mean, the thought went through my head, but you got to be a caring nurturer, Brian. That's how these marriages work.
It is how. Well, I don't know how they work, so I don't know if you can. You can't really. Maybe you'll put out a pamphlet with some instructions.
Maybe
what else is going on in the world this week? Because we had a great weekend.
The big thing, Apple credit card came out this past week or so. For those people,
we are Ron. If I may cut you off,
of course.
this was the week I felt that Apple acknowledges what trendsetters and influencers Ron and Brian are, because this was the kind of thing where the world was waiting, anticipating, expecting, fantasizing, masturbating, all because they were waiting to find out whether they were going to get the Apple Card. You and I on the same day, which clearly was not a coincidence, notified that we had been approved for Apple Cards. And what I liked is that you and I are both such basic bougie bitches that we were like,
no question.
Oh, it comes out in a titanium physical card. Yes, I would like to request one. Even though the service is really what they're trying to do is get you to use your phone and store the purchasing abilities on your phone. We both said we need the phone. So this was the week where I think you and I really set ourselves apart from the masses as being part of, do I dare say, the elite? Like, I feel like you and I are on equal footing as elite members of society.
I mean, somewhat equal. I mean, if we're using our Apple Card as a rank, maybe one of us is a little bit higher than the other.
Hold on, you've got an Apple Card?
I do.
I've got an Apple
Correct.
Card. Is your card made out of titanium?
It is.
My card's made out of titanium. I mean, it's like a dead heat at the 100 meter at the Olympics.
Your credit limit on that Apple Card, is it 5 digits?
Are we including the two numbers after the zeros?
We are not.
I'm going to say no, Ron. I've got 6 digits. If that's the case.
Then if that's the case, I have 7 digits.
Hold on a second here. What are you getting at?
I'm just saying that maybe Apple looks at me as, let's say, 25% better than you potentially.
Well, technically, they see me. See, this is where you're bad at fractions. They see you as being 33% better than me. They see me as being 25% worse of you.
Okay. Well, tomato.
Come on. Because I was approved for $7,500 on for my Apple Card. Thank you to my good friends at Goldman Sachs,
and
who offered me an incredibly low interest rate should I decide to carry a balance. They said, Brian, we love you so much. We're charging people 28%. We're charging people 25%. You're getting 17.99%. And I was like, 17.9. I am taking it. I am part of the elite. This is great. I feel accepted as a great person.
That's how high of an interest rate they gave you?
High? What do you mean high?
I mean, they gave me $10,000 at 12.99. I mean, that's like...
No, that's got to be a typo.
Money.
That's got to be a typo.
I wish I could say it was, but and it's okay. I mean, again, we've had this conversation before. It's why it's the Ron and Brian podcast. Ron goes first, Brian comes second. It's hashtag Ron influencer, hashtag Brian follower. It's okay. I mean, we all have to have our little niche in life, and I'm just happy to see that Tim Cook and the folks at Apple, they get it. They understand what the hierarchy is. So kudos to both of us, though. But at the end of the day, yes.
No, hold on. My thing says here 17.99%.
Okay, good. Mine says
that's incredibly low.
Mine says 12.99. No, and again, I'm if I'm doing the math correctly, that just means I'm 63.7% better than you. In Apple's eyes. I'm not saying any other way.
Why do you do this to me?
Well, why do I do what, Brian? I feel it's good to keep you humble at times.
I feel like you're going to be like the kind of asshole that's going to sit there, and when we get to the point where we need to incorporate, you're going to say that you need to be 51% ownership, and I get 49.
I mean, I'd be okay with like a 50.1% ownership. I'll give you 49.9.
Yeah, that's my fear. My fear is that in some way you are going to lord over me your special relationship with Dave Hill as grounds to ensure that I always placate you and your ego.
I mean, I'm an asshole with an ego. You knew that going in.
I did, but I always thought that you and I it was us versus the world.
It is, but it's maybe me a few percentage points more against the world than you. But at the end of the day...
So it's basically you and 12.99%, while it's me and my 18%.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I respect it.
Well, we'll see how this works out. Now, the question is, are you going to pay your card off? Now, hold on. If I can say something, because now I do feel the need. I do have what I define as very good credit.
Okay.
I don't know what your FICO score is, and I wouldn't want to announce it on this podcast. However, on record, I do believe that I have gone through 3 surgeries in the past couple months. My credit bills have skyrocketed, in some cases doubled, and I believe that hurt me.
I will say I don't carry credit card balances.
Neither do I. I pay my bill off every month. I think if you have the ability to pay it off every month, and obviously I consider myself fortunate, I don't have to carry balances. Some people do have to carry balances, and I always, when speaking with them, say, pay off those balances as soon as possible. It's the smartest thing you can do is get out of debt. But I don't understand why the financial system encourages people to carry balances. They'll say, you pay your bill off every month, that's great. But if you want to get your FICO score a little higher, keep a running balance, because this shows the credit services that you can carry a balance and still pay it off.
That's a little crazy. But I mean, this is, the crazier thing is, and this will show you what a basic bitch I am, is I don't even need I have no use for this credit card whatsoever. Like, it's from a reward standpoint, it's not even that good. But it is.
What do you do for rewards, if I may ask? What do you?
I mostly use my Marriott credit card, so I get points, which we have turned in for basically a free hotel stay for vacation this year. And I also use my Costco Visa because I get cash back at the end of the year. So I'll usually get like a few $100 back.
What percentage do you get back on cash on the Costco card?
Let's see.
Because do you know or not?
I believe. Well, I primarily use it at Costco because I get 2 and 3% depending on whether I'm getting gas or just shopping at Costco. So that is primarily where I will use that. It's just at Costco.
Because this past week I've got the Chase Freedom card, which I thought was giving me a better cash back. It's only giving me 1.5%, which is better than the Apple card, which is offering 1% on all credit card charges. I think it's 2% if you use the wallet app, 3% if you're purchasing something from Apple or Uber. That was an exciting reveal earlier today, is that you can get 3% off on all Uber and Uber Eats charges.
Maybe I need to change my method of payment there.
I'm going to be setting that up tomorrow. But what it disappointed me was that I suddenly felt that I'm not getting the most points on my credit card that I could get.
All right.
So if you're listening out there and you have a credit card to recommend that will reward me for using my card, hook me up.
All right.
Let me know.
So
maybe I'm not going to get that as high of a balance as you, Ron. Maybe I'm going to be looking at a higher percentage. Frankly, the percentage doesn't mean anything to me because I plan on paying off my balance every month.
There you go. And if you want to take
credit limit it's a point of pride, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to sleep tonight.
And if you're out there and you want to share photos of your new Apple card with us, please do. We'd love to see them. It is a pretty cool looking little card.
Make sure you turn around to the back so I can pull down your security code.
No code, no nothing on the back of the card.
I know, it makes me very uncomfortable.
It's pretty crazy. Now, surprisingly enough, you made it seem earlier today that you actually wanted to discuss something relating to Marvel and their movie franchise.
The internet was a buzz yesterday. Got even stronger today, where apparently, and this is where I'm going to butcher the story, and I would like you to explain to me what the deal is, because I'm the kind of person that whenever I see a large group of people amassing on a street corner, I want to know what's going on over there.
Right.
What am I missing?
Yes.
And it seems that there's something going on with Marvel and Disney and Spider-Man, which somehow now Spider-Man is not going to be in the Marvel movies. And I don't understand how this works, because Spider-Man is a Marvel character.
Spider-Man is...
And I started reading an article about it, got confused, felt like a nerd, a geek, and I just I closed the article and I said, why would I read this article that can confuse me when I can speak to my better half who understands the way my brain works and its simplicity, and will describe it in a manner in which I will understand.
I will do my best. I don't know everything about it, but I'll do my best. So what may be confusing to you is the fact that Marvel does not actually own the rights to Spider-Man. Sony, and I don't know the entire backstory. I'm not sure how Sony ended up with the rights to Spider-Man, but they actually own the character Spider-Man. Marvel obviously is now part of Disney, and what had happened a few years back is that Sony allowed Marvel to use the character Spider-Man in Captain America Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, and Disney only took a small percentage of grosses on Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home. Now that it's time to renegotiate a new deal, Disney is looking for more of a 50-50 split, and apparently that is something that Sony is not interested in. There's also some talk about there being issues with producer credits and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, as it stands right now, Sony will produce the Spider-Man and the Spider-Man universe movies independent, but it's very possible that without an agreement, Spider-Man will not be appearing in any future Marvel films.
Okay, now what this is what I'm confused by, is that the Marvel and keep in mind, I'm coming from a place of ignorance. I saw Captain America with Claire Danes, and I don't understand what the Marvel universe is. I did see one of the Avengers movies where it seemed like everybody was in it. So now Spider-Man is now a teenager again, because it's not Tobey Maguire anymore.
Right.
It's not the next guy or the other guy. Now it's another guy.
Tom Holland.
Who goes to Europe.
Correct.
And somehow in this, it touches on an alternate universe where there's no more Thanos. And
it's post Thanos. It's post Avengers Endgame. The timeline follows the what happens in Avengers Endgame.
So how does this fuck up everything else, or does it really have that much of an impact?
I mean, I guess what it does is, when the characters. So let's say let's take whatchamacallit, Spider-Man Far From Home. So you had you had Samuel L. Jackson in there as Nick Fury. You had Jon Favreau in there as Happy Hogan. Those characters would not be in a future movie, because they're part of the Marvel Universe. So Sony technically would not have rights to use those. Whereas if there was another Avengers movie, or, when they do Sinister Six or one of these other things, if they wanted to have Spider-Man as part of a storyline that, might be interacting with some of these Marvel characters, they would not be able to use that character in the movies.
So basically, what is their plan? Have they announced, are they just going to start from scratch? Or are they going to continue the story but with different characters? Are they going to change Nick Fury to Nicholas Furious and the Maximum 5? Like, what are they going to do?
I mean, Marvel had already introduced their Phase 4, which we spoke about a couple of weeks ago from San Diego
You told me
Comic-Con.
that you had to go to a doctor because you had an erection for 4 straight days as a result of that timeline that they announced.
Yeah. So
So excited.
So Marvel had already introduced a whole set of movies, and I don't know that Spider-Man was necessarily contingent on being in any of those. As far as any future Spider-Man movies, I mean, obviously, with Spider-Man Far From Home soon to become the highest grossing Sony Pictures movie ever, you would think obviously there will be another sequel there. They're also shooting another Venom, since that did fairly well. But yeah, so basically what it does is you lose the ability to have multiple characters from other stories, especially with Marvel getting back the rights to the Fantastic Four and X-Men. It really, Marvel has all of these properties with the exception of Spider-Man. So you really will just have this one character that can't interact within the Marvel Cinematic Universe unless Disney and Sony work something out. So for most people, I don't think it's a big deal, but for those people that really get into it, yeah, they might not be happy.
Is there anybody still listening to this, or have they just turned it off?
I feel everyone has stopped, and they have moved on to another podcast. Maybe they're listening to Dave Hill right now.
All right. I can't blame them if they have. All right, Ron. What else do we got?
Let's see.
Greenland. We need to talk about Greenland.
All right. Please talk about Greenland.
All right. So this week, there was an article in the news that said that word was coming out of the White House that Donald Trump had given directions to White House staff to look into purchasing Greenland from Denmark. Now, obviously, and one of the great things about this world is every day is a learning opportunity. So I did not know that Greenland was not its own country. Oh, wow, these hard seltzers are really fucking me up.
Kicking in, huh?
But so apparently Greenland is a territory of Denmark.
Yes.
Or a protectorate, I believe is the way that the kids like to call it now, with their hot girl summers. Everything's a protectorate. So word leaks out that Trump is looking into, because apparently he thinks that Greenland has a lot of natural resources that would be beneficial to the United States. So word gets out to the press, and it basically has the tone of, this is how crazy this fucking guy is. That he's talking about just buying Greenland with American money.
Of course, because we have nothing but cash right now.
Of course, everything's looking so great. So Denmark, and what's odd is that Greenland doesn't respond, but Denmark responds that surely this has to be a joke, and Denmark says Greenland is not for sale. At which point, and this is where you got to give Trump credit, he gets up in front of the press and goes, no, it wasn't a joke. I was quite serious. Greenland is a drain on Denmark to the tune of, throws out a fictitious inflated number, and says that the United States would be able to manage it properly, and Denmark should really look into the idea of selling it. At which point the Danish Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, comes back and says, yeah, we're sorry, but that's not going to happen. At which point, and this is where suddenly, where you go from, this is a joke to this is some serious shit, Donald Trump cancels an upcoming visit that he had scheduled for 2 weeks from now, where he was supposed to go to Denmark for a state visit, cancels because they won't sell him Greenland. This is how thin-skinned this fucker is, and lashes out at the Danish Prime Minister, calling her nasty, which I realize now is one of his go-to lines.
It is, especially with women.
When he doesn't like someone. Loves calling them nasty, which is odd for someone who bangs porn stars. Not that I'm shaming sex workers, but for someone who claims the moral high ground and yet basically throws a cover over who he really is, sits there and looks down and calls other people just a piece of garbage.
It's been a very interesting week for the Donald. I mean, the Greenland aside, he supported Israel, blocking two Democratic congresswomen from visiting Israel. He
both Muslim. They weren't just Democrats. They were Democratic Muslim women, which is literally the trifecta of people Donald Trump hates.
He what else did he do? He retweeted someone that claimed that he is king of Israel, as greater than God, second coming of God. Today
he referred to himself as the chosen one.
Yes.
While speaking to the media, he mentioned that China has really been killing us on trade over the last few years. And then he looked up at the sky and said, well, because I'm the chosen one, I felt that it was my obligation to go up against China.
And he also, I just lost my train of thought. What else did he do today? There was something else that was also crazy that was related to the Israel thing. Oh, he was talking about Jews. Yeah, he said that Jews that vote for Democrats are either disloyal or just dumb.
Kind of hard to run with when it's coming from Donald Trump.
No, I get that.
I mean, he's dumb.
But just insane. But insanely enough, he wasn't the worst politician over the past week.
Was the worst politician presidential candidate Jay Inslee?
He was not.
Jay Inslee just dropped out of the race.
Did he? Son of a bitch.
Yes.
So now Hickenlooper and Inslee, both out.
I credit you for knowing more about who those people are than I do.
Now we're down to 21. Unbelievable.
Who is the worst politician of the week? Ron, take it away.
One of the people that has us blocked on Twitter right now, Iowa Representative Steve King, who last week questioned if there'd be any population left without rape or incest.
Literally a jaw-dropping comment. Sits there and says that entire parts of the population would not exist if it weren't for incest and rape, and that is why we should not ban it.
I don't know how you
where do you go?
I don't know how you defend that kind of individual anymore.
I got nothing.
So, but just horrible. Before we jump off of the whole Democratic thing, real quick, I forgot to mention this the other week because we have more. We have more Democratic debates coming up, and we have, I think, 10 Democratic candidates have qualified. But the thing that I just find to be hilarious is one of the hurdles to get into these debates now seems to be this 130,000 donor mark that people have to get to. So right. you literally have candidates that are going out there and say, hey, even if you give me $1, just give me $1, because just the fact that I'm getting a donor is more important than the amount of money than you're giving me. Right. So how easy it is in this day and age for someone sitting out there on the internet who just really wants to fuck with, our entire political process to just say, hey, you know what? It's worth $25 to just give $1 to these 25 knucklehead candidates to make sure all these morons end up on these Democratic debate stages.
Well, yeah, of course.
I think the DNC just really hasn't thought this all through.
Listen, we've got a reality star who's a failed real estate mogul, has bankrupted multiple companies. That guy won the presidency. So how can you in any way judge what's going on right now?
That's true. More importantly, though, Brian, and I want to get your hot take on this because this came out earlier today. I don't think we had a chance to talk about this, but they released the names of the 8 teams that will be competing in the inaugural season for the XFL next year. I know you're excited to have more football, so we've got the 8 teams being the Dallas Renegades, the Houston Roughnecks, the Los Angeles Wildcats, the St. Louis Battlehawks, the Seattle Dragons, the Tampa Bay Vipers, the DC Defenders, and your New York Guardians.
The Guardians, I'll take it. Do they say when this league will run? Because I was just about to embrace arena football next year.
I believe it's going to fill that sweet spot in between the Super Bowl and the start of the arena football season. So you figure Super Bowl is usually that first weekend in February. Arena football starts, April, May time frame. So I think pretty much XFL starts the week after the Super Bowl. Because they really want to capitalize on that, the lack of football.
I would be open-minded to exposing myself to XFL. I'm a little leery about anything Vince McMahon is tied to. I did not expose myself to the XFL the first time it was around, though I did watch the excellent ESPN 30 for 30 on the XFL, which I felt was really eye-opening in the sense that there were a lot of people involved who were taking it seriously and put a lot of time and effort into it, and it was just a slew of bad luck, bad timing, and just some bad decision making. But I would I'll give it a shot. But I'm going to try and embrace arena football next year.
I mean,
so if you are, and we don't have a team in New York, do we?
I don't believe you do at this point.
We have Albany. Well, I think what were they down to 6 teams this year? Listen, if New York is going to be playing but New York would be playing at Giant Stadium, correct?
I would think so. I think they're
because this is an outdoor, unless they're playing at a baseball stadium, unless they're going to set up shop in Yankee Stadium, which I know sometimes, but they can't do that if it's going to be during the February through May because baseball season starts. If it's if it takes place out in the Meadowlands, count me out. I do not like the commute there. However, somewhere Yankee Stadium, maybe Citi Field, I'll check it out.
All right. And I know you're going to want to rush right out and get your XFL merchandise, so that will be available on XFL.com as of August 24th.
Now, would I be able to purchase one of the cheerleaders?
I think anything's possible when Vince McMahon is involved.
Okay.
And
do we have any idea who's going to be playing in this league?
No one has been named as of yet, and I have just confirmed New York Guardians will play at MetLife Stadium.
Sorry, maybe I'll watch it on TV.
But we will keep that up. Seat capacity of 82,500. MetLife Stadium is expected to be the largest in the XFL.
Yeah, but they're not going to sell 80,000 tickets.
No, not at all. You know who?
Unless Vince McMahon considers that every time you buy a ticket to a WWE event in the New York metropolitan area, they'll just automatically include an XFL ticket.
I'm sure there'll be some Vince is heavily invested in this. He reportedly sold off a significant amount of his WWE stock to have the money to fund this. I think he's into this for about $200 million.
Jesus Christ!
Which you would think would be difficult to make money or get your money back, but we'll see.
Well, they're going to be putting tickets on sale in September, which is actually not that long from now. But you can put down a deposit for a season ticket right now, $50, to give you priority access to choose seats when they become available. Go right now to Ticketmaster, and whatever you do, do not type in XFL 2020 deposits. Keep your cash.
You know who will not be seeing the inaugural season of the XFL?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Him as well, but Peter Fonda. We also lost this past week. August 16th, he passed away at the age of 79.
Star of Easy Rider, son of Henry Fonda, brother of Jane Fonda, or as I like to call her, Hanoi Jane. Really was, he became a figurehead in the counterculture movement that was really embraced in the late 60s. His career cooled afterwards, as he didn't make another movie until 1997 when he appeared in Yuli's Gold with his sister. However, people always remember him fondly. Nothing?
Very good, very good.
God damn it, whatever. But Peter Fonda, I got to grade him. I'm going to go B-. I mean, he's part of a He's part of just a one of our institutional families in this country. Unfortunately, he wasn't hot, wasn't really being spoken of. I'm giving him a B minus. Ron, what's your grade?
I think on top of everything you've already mentioned, I think we need to also give him credit for being the father of Bridget Fonda, and just for that, I'm bumping him up to a B plus.
All right, Bridget Fonda. Yes, I am fond of her.
So let's take a run around the horn, see what other crazy news stories we had. Florida, always love Florida. Pinellas Park, Florida. A Florida man was arrested at a Walmart after police say he stuffed a $7 bottle of wine down his pants, then chugged the booze in a store bathroom and tried to leave the store without paying. Ty Kelly, 55, arrested on Wednesday on a petty theft charge. Brian, yes or no, do you think this man has a mullet? You
Yes.
are goddamn right he's got a mullet.
Absolutely has a mullet. Absolutely has a mullet.
So he was booked into the sheriff's office jail, being held on a $250 bond. So kind of surprising that someone who can't buy a $7 bottle of wine wouldn't have $250 to get himself out of jail.
That's kind of sad.
In more drinking news out in Kentucky, a Kentucky woman was arrested for allegedly breaking into a closed bar and drinking until the employees showed up to open in the morning. This was the Salante Public House in Georgetown, Kentucky. Employees arriving shortly before 8 a.m. found the woman passed out at the bar. She was called police, who charged her with burglary and public intoxication. And then
rightfully so.
One of my favorite stories of the week out in Newfoundland, Pennsylvania, hundreds of crown-wearing worshippers clutching AR-15s drank holy wine and exchanged or renewed wedding vows in a commitment ceremony at a Pennsylvania church, prompting a nearby school to cancel classes. This took place at the World Peace and Unification Sanctuary in Newfoundland, who is headed up by the Reverend Sean Moon. Who do you think the Reverend Sean Moon's dad is?
Sun Myung Moon?
You got it, old cult leader, Reverend Sun Myung Moon, the self-proclaimed Messiah who founded the Unification Church. Also, the World Peace and Unification Sanctuary considers that the AR-15 symbolizes the rod of iron in the biblical book of Revelation. So, considering this is out in the Pennsylvania section of our state, I am not at all surprised this happened.
A lot of weird drinking stories this week.
A little bit.
Let me ask you a question. How old do you think Bridget Fonda is?
Well, I looked her up, so I have an unfair advantage in this. I tell you, she's 55.
Holy moly. I will always think of her as the her character in Jackie Brown.
Really?
Yes, that is when she was the little California surfer girl. I mean, don't get me wrong. She's single white female is what people remember her for. Doc Hollywood, Godfather Part 3. We're going to let that one pass. I mean, who could forget Finding Graceland? Or, but here's the important thing. This is just odd thing. She has not made a movie in 18 years. Her last acting role in a movie was 2001. Her last television show, 2002. Do you know who I blame for this?
Peter Fonda?
Nope. Danny Elfman.
Oh, didn't he write the music for Batman, the movie?
He wrote the songs that made the whole world sing. He was the former frontman of Oingo Boingo. Danny Elfman. They got married. He married Bridget Fonda, and she stopped working professionally.
Interesting. So I guess he is to blame.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
I think we're done here.
I think we've talked about.
I mean, when I'm reaching a point of I'm just reading shit off Wikipedia, I believe I think this is officially scraping the bottom of the barrel.
I mean, I think we lost people around the Marvel discussion, but hopefully there were a few that stuck in towards the end.
You lost me at the Marvel, but you reclaimed my attention right after.
Well, I'm going to go pour the rest of this White Claw down the drain because It's absolutely horrendous. I'm dreading the Four Loko even more now than I was, but we got to do it. We got to do what we got to do.
We'll do it. Absolutely.
So in the meantime, check out Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go to the website. Drop us a line if you have any questions. If you want to get any stickers, vote on This Week in Racism. We'll have those polls up on Facebook and Twitter shortly. We can also announce that Ron and Brian will be in attendance at Hoppy Halloween at Broken Goblet Brewing, Bensalem, PA, October 19th. We will be there. We'll probably be passed out in a flower bed somewhere, but we will be there. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to it. A great party.
Let's do it.
Did you see they released? Because I know you're a fan of the group Typo Negative. I think I sent you the story that they released a beer honoring one of their albums today.
Yes, I believe it was October Rust.
Yes.
Was the album. This is I think it's like the 30th anniversary or whatnot. But Broken Goblet, cannot go wrong with that brewery.
All right. Anything else this week, Brian?
Absolutely nothing.
Right.
Just let me know if you ever feel like coming up, and I look forward to seeing you
As
again.
always, same here. So everybody out there, thanks for joining us. Listen, rate, review, subscribe, share us, pass us around with your friends. We won't give you any disease.